And since, well, it is my personal opinion that most of American culture is dysfunctional. The norm for our culture is dysfunction.
Okay.
Sad though that is, addictions of varying kinds are the norm.
But in saying it's the norm, we're not saying, oh,
Doesn't
well.
mean it's good, no. It's a sad thing that norm is not good.
Yeah.
Normal is dysfunctional. And we need to recognize that so that we each can change.
Mm-hmm.
And then assist others who want to change.
Well, and to remember that just because something is normal doesn't mean it's healthy.
No, and it doesn't mean you get to say, oh, well, and then put your life on autopilot. No.
Well, and all the people who would say, well, it's too big of a problem, we can't solve it.
Well, you nibble away at it one person at a time, starting with yourself, and then working with others one at a time who want to make a difference.
Well, and every accomplishment in all of human history at one point was just an idea.
And one person.
And one person. And at a later point, it was a couple people doing something while 100 people ignored them.
Right.
And over time, certain things caught on, and we find ourselves with abilities that we didn't have before.
And culture itself is a living organism and grows and changes and evolves. Just because the background noise of our culture now is dysfunctional doesn't mean it has to be that way 100 years from now. But it will be, and worse, unless we, each and every one of us, chooses to have that stop with me. Whatever dysfunction I was raised in is over.
Which is where we come back to competent ministers.
Yes.
To understand that each person you address as a minister has within them a predisposition to ways of seeing and understanding, ways of imagining the divine. And that for one it may be this, and for the other it may be that.
But they exist and they have it in there. Most of them have it in there, and that's what we're helping them to connect back to. The root of the word religion is from the Latin religare, and it means to bind back to, reconnect.
Okay.
And so the point of religion, theoretically, is to bind the individual back to the divine and remind the individual that there was always that connection. And it's up to each of us to keep that connection alive and functioning.
You can neglect it, you can let it become unhealthy, you can have it be malnourished.
But it doesn't go away.
But it's still there.
Right. And you can even have a negative one. You know, atheists have a relationship with the divine of negation. It's still a relationship. It's still a belief system. Whether you believe in the divine or don't believe in the divine, it's a belief system.
My apologies to any atheists watching. I don't mean to step on toes, but just looking at the words.
Exactly.
If you were a true non-believer, you would be an agnostic. Someone who believes that
there's something, but I don't know what it is.
It can't be known for certain.
Right.
Whatever it is, it can't be known for certain. An atheist, according to the definition of the word,
a non-theist, God-believing.
Yeah, someone who is saying there is no God.
Right.
If there was no God, there would be no God to say it about.
Right. It would be a non-concept.
It would be a sentence that makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's like saying there are no Martians. Well, you can't say there are no Martians if there's no Mars and no Martians to say it about.
Right. So once we can have the concept and speak about a thing, it's already posited. And then we have to go on from there. But that's another conversation.
Yes.
The people inside in prison have mostly gotten away from whatever faith they were raised in, or, and this is a sad truth, damaged, hurt by...
And a lot of them are legitimately angry at the religious system they experienced.
Because of the specific church they were in, or a pastor, or the way their family interpreted the faith, or whatever that piece of it was, it damaged them. And they either have no connection with the faith they were raised in, or they're angry about it.
So in terms of having the ministers present there, the the reason they're necessary is to facilitate the healing that I would say is essential to their being able to function in a healthy way within society,
Right.
even within a dysfunctional society.
Mm-hmm. Society only stops being dysfunctional when each individual is working at being functional
Mm-hmm.
on an ongoing basis.
But whether you're dealing with a functional society or a dysfunctional one, either way, it starts with the individual
Right. Making
having
choices.
some moral sanity.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that chaplains can provide is the very fact that there are options. Go back and re-examine the faith you were raised in without the baggage. I always recommend
or if
people
the wound is too severe, there are other belief systems that you may find helpful.
But I always suggest people start with the faith they were raised in. Know why you're not that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that would at least tell you what about a religious system you want to avoid.
Right. This is what I'm not looking for. What I'm looking for is. And then, all right, there are options.
Mm-hmm.
Look, try on,
for
go
some
to the
people,
programs.
For example, they may have a real problem with hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
They want a non-hierarchical religious faith, something where it's not someone at the top of the pyramid telling them what to do.
Yeah, do this, don't do that, and these are the rigid rules. And in which case they might want to consider congregationalism or the Society of Friends. Even within Christianity, there are options.
Mm-hmm. There are non-hierarchical Christian denominations,
and much less rigid. And so one of the things that chaplains can do is facilitate the individual's seeking for a religious and an ethical system
mm-hmm.
that makes sense to the individual, so that they can then come out into society again and make better choices because they have a system of belief that actually makes sense.
Well, and that hopefully is actually effective in dealing with their own life issues.
Absolutely.
If, for example, just a hypothetical guess here, someone, a woman who is a victim of incest, maybe not, just hypothetical guess, she might not relate as well to a traditional Christian denomination that emphasizes the supremacy of the male, of the patriarchal household.
Mm-hmm.
You know, be submissive to your husbands, etc. If she was a victim of incest, she's got some emotional and psychological things to work out that specifically cast masculine authority figures in a negative light.
And so she needs to work both with mental health, mm-hmm. which she will be doing in prison. Excuse me. But she also will then have the option of a chaplain who can help her examine some alternatives
Mm-hmm.
To the religion she was raised in, or just seeking
a connection with divine that doesn't trip over masculine identification.
Absolutely, absolutely. And they are out there.